Hey there, Alex here. Welcome to another episode on Sweet Spot Soul. I promised I was going to get into the different types of twins a little bit more detailed and the monadic twins and so on. And I have a couple of things I just want to say before that, because one of the reasons I wanted to go through this, besides just really giving you a landscape of the different types of twins, and just the overall landscape of the beauty of this journey and how like what's happening, like this is amazing time. But I also wanted to let you know that there's different types of souls, of course, right? We've got different types of contracts with different types of souls, and there's also non-player characters. I slightly tapped in on that on the last video. This is tied to the last video, so make sure you go back to that. But there again, I'm going to be taking this another level to really talking about the journey itself in terms of the different types of souls that we meet, the different types of contracts that we have, and the behaviors, in particular, the behaviors. So we will be going into some more about, what's going on with the masculine or the divine masculine polarity and what happens when you come into inner union. I want to talk about the behavior during separation, the things that seem very, very toxic in terms of the push-pull dynamic, because I really want you to know when you're on this journey or when you're not on this journey, what you might be dealing with. But again, the end of the day, no matter what you're dealing with, whether it's a non-player character or a karmic lesson, a soulmate situation, or a twin, or whatever, your goal is still to bring yourself into full inner alignment, into full inner union, creating a glorious, abundant, self-sustaining life for yourself with just self-love, non-attachment, and absolute self-worth. This is what will release you from any type of a toxic relationship that is not a twin flame relationship on any level, that is not a toxic soulmate, or you get your karmic lesson handled lickety split and you're not being abused or something in a non-player character type of a situation. So we're going to go into a lot of those things. So make sure you subscribe. Today, I just want to talk about the monad, and the 144 incarnations of you, and the two main levels of twins that we have. Okay, because there's two main types of twins, I should say. Okay, so I'm going to pull up my usual, my handy things, because I want to constantly tie this together until it clicks and clicks and clicks. This is the 12 sphere time matrix that we live in. And this is also our divine blueprint for our DNA. This is also the divine blueprint for pretty much everything in our time matrix, including all of the planets. These are all of our chakras. This is so many different things. And so when we talk about multidimensional travel, as you come into union and so on, inner union and also union in the physical, with your twin, we're talking about traveling through these different and it's not even just galaxies. I mean, we're looking at planets and galaxies. Everything is on this. And so each of the chakras, and each of these as DNA strands of the 12 strands, all of it is tied intimately together. And as we rebuild ourselves, reintegrate ourselves, and collect all of our codes to rebuild our 12-strand DNA, which each have 3 strands. Remember, like each of these are like a level of moving up, right? I mean, even just in getting from harmonic universe 1, which is D1, 2, and 3, to harmonic universe 2 is like, a bunch of even still subharmonics just to get from here to here. That's going from harmonic universe 1 to 2. It's like a bunch of different subharmonics. Same with this, right? And same with this. So there's a whole bunch. And so our DNA actually weaves back together again, and each of the 12 strands has 3 to it. So there's a lot of codes that we accrete, and we get them from our soul family, mainly from our soul family, and of course solar. And we can, because we have the full blueprint within our monad, we can also do this on our own. So we meet all kinds of different people, and we can share codes with them in high frequency. But we can also get really messed up with the wrong DNA. So again, discerning that's going to be important, and really staying in your lane if you are on a twin flame journey, which I imagine that you are if you're watching me, especially because my stuff is a little bit out there. If you're on that journey, then you're already probably not really interested in other relationships, right? Maybe you are, maybe you aren't, maybe you're still working through that, maybe you're still married or what have you. Your divine masculine might be in some other relationships, but the codes are always being shared, okay? And when you meet your twin, especially if you're a primary twin, you're getting almost all of that coding like that, or at least over that whole blending time, that merging time. And then during the separation, then they come back and then there's more merging. It's kind of like weaving back together each of these strands. Okay, so I'm just reminding you of the bigger picture here, that this whole ascension journey that we're on is being activated with the twin, where most everyone else goes on that spiritual journey without one, right? So what a blessing that you have somebody who can help you accrete all of your codes really fast, but it's very precipitous, as you know, and very painful. And again, because it's been so romanticized and there's so much BS out there, making it sound like it's some like glorious, perfect thing, people are they're holding on to the idea and they are tolerating extremely toxic relationships that are not healthy. And so again, I will go into that. I want to talk about narcissism. I'm going to talk a little, narcissism and empath and the obsessive behavior, the different attachment styles. Not going to go deep into attachment theory, but just the basics of what's going on there, limerence, all of these things that are keeping us in really, really uncomfortable, harmful at times situations that are all based in separation consciousness and fear. It's all fear. And the sooner we can come back into line and stay on course and get into inner union, you will set yourself free from that. And you will also set yourself up, should you be on the journey with the twin, to potentially have that 3D union. Okay. And shout out to those twins who met a long time ago, who really plotted the course for some of the newer twins, because there's a huge wave of people coming into outer union, into 3D union, that it's just in the next couple of years, it's time. And as the world is more in division, now is the time to get serious, to really put your nose down, get yourself into inner union. I'm telling you, for you, for the planet, for being able to walk through some of the chaos that's happening in the world as things are restructuring and falling apart and all that. The separation and that bifurcation is really, really strong, and it's happening now. And we really are here to anchor the higher new codes and to show new templates of relationships that are glorious and balanced and based in unconditional love, which is not the typical, right? We've seen all the distortion. So I'm going to just share a little bit about these two kinds of twins, because I thought you might really enjoy it. So this is, so the monad comes in, basically the monad is dimension 8. It's right here, smack in the middle of the oversoul matrix, okay? And it is located right here. It's called the azure point. It is chakra 8, and it's actually just at the base of the thymus. It's the higher heart, okay? And that is where you carry the flame. That's the monadic flame. You have the entire blueprint of the whole universe and that spark of God in that spot. And this is where the yin yang, this is where the other part of your soul, if you will, the wholeness is right here. And you can breathe into that slowly, fill that with just so much love, and you'll feel the waves from this higher heart, and you share that with your twin. It's just a beautiful thing. And that's called the monad. And that's the point where the soul enters in. This is the first level of that consciousness, that soul consciousness in this 12D matrix. Okay. So even if somebody was an avatar level, they also would have that consciousness entering in here. They would just be stationed, their station of identity would be higher. But this is the point right there, the azure point. So if you look at the monad, it actually has it down steps from the level above it, of course. It comes in from source, from the God seed, as 12 positions, right? That is the magic number, okay? Everything is in 12s. Okay, so you've got 12 here. And so, and well, you think about it too, like I mentioned in the last video. By the way, watch the last video too to get a little bit more about all the different incarnations, okay? That was kind of a part one. But like, for instance, Jesus Christ, he had 12 disciples, right? They were all parts of him, parts of his soul. And all 12 of those would make an avatar soul, which is so cool, right? Okay, so the monad, this again is D8. And when it comes to twins, this is the level of the twin flame. This is the level of where twin flames come together eventually this is the exit point from this from incarnating and being stuck here. This is like the last incarnation level on the planet would be to be what's called a primary twin, which would be which would be basically a set of one of these two sets of twins in the monad that are in the center. That would be a primary twin. A monadic twin would be any of the twins that are in this entire set right here. And I'll explain how this works. But generally, the 12 and 6 are a pair. This is the masculine and the feminine. And then the down step 1 to the parallel universe, and this is 3 and 9. And they are also a pair. It's like 4 faces of the soul. It's considered 4 faces of the soul. And just the pair itself, almost all codes for the 12-strand DNA can be shared within a primary twin like that, that's ready. And all of them within the 2 pair. Okay, so when the 8 drop in, they drop into 6 time vectors. So there's 6 pairs of twins. Now, these are the ones that are ready to meet in a lifetime. The outer ones, so the 1 o'clock and the 8 o'clock, or the 2 o'clock, 7 o'clock. Did I do that right? Yeah, these opposites. There, as you can see, there's not a direct line. They're not actually meant to meet in this lifetime or in the lifetime that they incarnate. They're meant to meet later. It's how you think of the 12 zodiacs, right? Some places they talk about going through the whole zodiac sign. Same thing. You're stationed many different lives before you're ready to exit. Okay. There's a lot of codes. There's a lot of growth and so on. So these outer twins, these other 4 pair, are not typically meant to graduate, if you will, off planet. However, there was some messing around that went on a long time ago to prevent twins from coming together from malicious other forces. And the checkerboard matrix was put into place. There's actually a reversal that was put in place to keep us divided from the mental body and the emotional body. You wonder why we are having such a split mind and so much ego issues and not being able to get into inner union. They literally put a reversal in there. It's messing up the spin of our Merkabas, which are many different levels. We'll be talking about that soon. So there's all kinds of messing around that's gone on to prevent twins from coming together and from anchoring higher frequencies. We were split at some point over, eons and eons. Okay. So we have had many, many lifetimes with our twin in the past, but this is the lifetime, should you have met your twin, and perhaps, especially if it was a primary twin, that the game is over if we play the game right, okay? Now, what happened is in 2003, since this is an extremely magical ascension window for the planet and for humanity, 2003, they opened a Stargate, a specific one or something like that. And I say they, I'm not going to go into all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I'm not going into that, but nonetheless, a Stargate, there was what's called a mass twinning event that basically unlocked the capacity for twins that are not meant to meet in this lifetime or since 2003 to be able to meet. Okay, so it kind of unlocked this structure so that people could meet other, I would almost want to say, false twins that may not be their identical or their divine counterpart. Okay, so if these two are meant to meet, but before they meet, this one meets somebody else, or maybe they weren't meant to meet at all. I don't know how that might work, but you might meet somebody else, or maybe you're this twin and you meet this person because you weren't a primary. That's probably more likely how it would happen. You are a twin, but you didn't meet this one. You met this one, right? And now I don't think you would meet 2 twins in the same lifetime. They're not necessarily they're not your divine counterpart twin, but you can see how that could be a false twin, right? Whereas these are locked in. Now, if this one happened to meet this one, probably cool, but they still haven't all of the codes that they need to be able to be done in this lifetime. So they still might come back again, but still have quite an experience, right? So that's kind of how the monad level works. So these are called primary twins. These are gender twins. Just those 2 sets are the parallel and this universe are the 2 that are primary. Now, down step the monad, there's 12 souls that make up one monad, right? These are all the different souls. We were just talking about them. So you have 6 and 6, and you have one twin to each other. There's only one main one. Two, 4 of them are meant to actually be our primary, and the other ones might meet. So you can see how you might meet somebody that's a very, very triggering, but yet at the same time, super high frequency, lots of codes to share that you might believe is your twin flame. So much, so close, but not quite there. And still yet an incarnation of the same monad. Isn't that cool? And so that can be happening. And so these are again the oversoul. What do you call them? The monadic twins. Okay, the monadic twins. And so the monadic twins come in at a frequency where they're already high enough, or were destined to become full soul before they meet their twin. So either they incarnated the twin and the like yourself and your twin incarnated at the same frequency, but you didn't meet until you reached that frequency or above. So you were already able to develop your full Merkaba, meaning you were able to get yourself to right around this arena of love or unconditional love frequency, really anywhere up in this arena that you would meet your twin, but you were able to by yourself reach the full soul level. So you're meeting your other soul. So that level of soul, again, monadic soul. Now the next level down would be if 2 incarnates. This is called the split soul twin flames, split soul. So this is not the whole thing. Neither's better. This is just what is, right? But the split soul would be 2 people that were meeting, twins basically, that are meeting from the lower frequencies, right? So your incarnation, again, this would be more likely some twins who met a while ago, but still, even now, depends on what level you incarnated at. But you might meet your twin somewhere right around 200. Not necessarily below that, but you could have below it if you were already destined or so to come up into this arena. Because when you're down here, you're still a possible incarnate, and we're talking about non-player characters down here. So I'm just talking about in this range here would be more likely that that the twin you would meet would be another that together make the full soul. Not that you're not already like a soul, you see what I mean, but you together, you're split into the one. And so this is kind of the you pushed out situation that I put here, where the first goal for a lot of twins, so many twins, is to just get from this level to this level, right? To merge their feminine and their masculine, their D4 and I'm sorry, did I have D1? 1, 2, 3. Sorry, it's actually, this is the 4, 5, 6. So it's really moving through dimensions 4, 5, and 6 to get these together to this level. So you're meeting like this, but your goal is to merge them to this. That's the twins' goal at that level. Sorry about the glare. Good Lord. Sorry, I'm gonna have to fix that at some point. Anyway, so you can just see it's really cool. And again, it doesn't, your soul is exactly where it needs to be. It doesn't matter what level, and neither is better than the other. The journey is almost the same, and I'll talk about that in just a second. But just so you have a sense here, 144 incarnates, what is that? 72 sets of twins that are 72 sets of twins from the monadic level, which is 144 incarnates. Isn't that crazy? And that's, I mean, that's amazing. So to be a monadic twin and one that holds all of these codes is pretty cool. It's pretty amazing. Now, the monadic twins that are in the primary position, in general, they're coming in at higher frequency. They incarnated at higher frequency, and really a lot of them are on mission. There's fewer of them in that position, but there's a lot that go into like pretty high mission, whether it's grid work or all kinds of different types of mission. And while you'll still find your purpose, oh, by the way, you might find that interesting too. Your purpose is found at this level. This is your super ego level in here, your super conscious. And this is where you also find, this is where your purpose kind of finds you, which is so cool. Because really living in the 5D is just magical. The 8D is where the monadic twins end up together because the two souls then merge to that level. And I'll show you what those Merkabas all look like later. But yeah, so, finding new purpose in your life and new work, I mean, everything has to be in alignment now, right? You can't work in the 3D. All the 3D stuff kind of falls away. So being at that, at the split soul level and getting up to into this level is total freedom, amazing life, amazing life. So don't think that it's not that it's better to be one or the other. Okay. The difference I would say in terms of the split souls to the monadics, in terms of the journey, the split souls, they're a bit more of an aggressive pain, longer dark night. Although you can have waves of the dark night, and both levels will have the dark night in the same, have this, levels of separation and so on. But there's more distortion to get through at the lower, just at that slightly higher level of separation still. I say higher level, it sounds funny. So there's more separation down here, separation consciousness, than up in here. And so there's just a bit more contrast to get through, a bit more of the distortion to get through. So it can be a little bit more painful and feel like literally like you're ripped in two. Whereas the monadics they already have a pretty solid level of wholeness before they meet. And so they still go through the dark night and the distortions will come up to be cleared, but they'll go into mission pretty quickly and sometimes side by side, sometimes then later together as they merge. So just a little bit different, but you can also go from, from the incarnate level, get yourself into the full inner union and then meet and then go to monadic. So, but you're only going to meet one, your twin in one of those stations in your lifetime. So I'm not saying you're going to meet more than one twin in a lifetime. You might meet a false twin or a soulmate or somebody else. Because think about it. Think about how many soulmates you have. There's so all these different incarnates. If you share the same monad, there you all can share and different codes to rebuild that DNA, right? So some might be soulmates, some might be karmics. That teach you karmic lessons, I should say. They're not karmics, just teach you really strong lessons, that I would say more of them would be soulmates. But nonetheless, you also, I mentioned the non-player characters. They're not on this here, but we'll talk about them in another time because they're kind of, they definitely can mess with the journey a lot, and they do more than you might think. So that's something else we'll talk about. But I just wanted to give you this kind of fun, when I say fun, just a landscape, another way to see this and help you understand a little bit more about what a false flame might be and why so many more twins are meeting right now and why some people are really destined to go the distance and others aren't. Think about it. If you meet your twin and they're, let's say this down steps to this same format, only down here, right? So you've got your soul that breaks down into this many incarnates in this same positioning. So you might have a couple of incarnates that are really set, primary incarnates, right? In a primary position to go to merge and come right up to here. If you're understanding what I'm saying, two of these might meet from this position of the soul and be able to reconstruct that soul really quickly. And we're seeing a lot of that, right? Obviously, those are the primaries. But if you're meant to meet your other half, or maybe not meant to meet them, but if you meet somebody who's on one of the outers that shares a lot of the same codes as you, and also the frequency, very, very similar, but doesn't, and you might have that like, that love phase and like all that kind of stuff, but you don't actually phase lock together because you're not divine counterparts. You just won't unless you're a divine counterpart. But it's a lot of the symptoms are the same, just like the karmics can seem really very similar and so on. There's a lot that can seem really similar. So let's say you're not a twin. Let's just say you're not a twin, but you meet somebody that is really close to you in your soul family, like really, really close, that could almost be like a twin because they're just one of those 12. They're actually, I should say, one of the 6. Let's say this is you and you meet this person, okay, in your own soul level. This being, let's pretend that's your soul level. You're this one and you meet this one. That would be like a false flame right there. And you would have a very, very, very similar twin flame experience, but not but that could just then lead you into massive, beautiful growth, into inner union and all the beautiful things. And then you might meet a high level soulmate, right? Or the person you were actually meant to meet for the rest of your life, right? But you're not going to meet another twin from the same thing. I mean, the likelihood of that would probably be 1 in a billion. I suppose anything's possible, but I wouldn't expect that. So I hope that wasn't confusing, but I wanted to just kind of show you how like different, how they can all combine so differently. It's just wild. But ultimately, again, the whole goal, inner union, you're going to know, and the only way you're ever going to really know is when you're done, when you're gone. No, really, when you reach inner union and the twin comes back in and you're able to get into harmonious union, if that's what's in the cards, you'll just have a sense of it. But everyone's journey is completely unique. Everyone's timing is unique. Everyone's lessons are unique. Everyone's codings are unique. There's a lot of messing around that happens from the non-player characters and those beings that run them, and intercepting and all of that stuff to keep us in fear, to feed on our lower energies. We have to pull our energy in and really, really focus on what the journey is really about, and set yourself free. And that would also set your divine masculine free. And you might be a divine masculine watching this. So I'm speaking to the majority of divine feminines that are here, but you're divine masculine, and we will talk a lot about their journey. That's one of my short list of videos to make. That divine masculine is in suffering, and they need to be set free too. We need to set them free by coming into inner union, so that they can come to peace and come to their own next steps of their own their own ascension, and their ability to be able to approach you and potentially ground the union in the 3D. So again, we'll talk about that later. So I hope you found this interesting. I'd love to get your thoughts and comments about it. And hopefully it wasn't confusing. And I'll just have some more coming up pretty soon. I have a little bit of travel to do for a day. It's a little busy, but I'll try to get a second one in this week, because I do have more to share with you guys. And if you need some help or assistance on the journey, by all means, that's what I do. I want to help you get into inner union as fast as possible. I've got some testimonies on my page if you want to check some of those out. I have a couple more to add, so you can feel safe in really, really being able to get you right in track, so that you can expedite things for this upcoming huge window of unions that are happening. So I'd be happy to help if I can. All right. Thank you so much. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and until the next one, bye.